attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. Welcome to our episode today of the Empowered Immigrant Live. Today, our theme is that naturalization is getting harder, all right? And maybe there's benefits to applying for naturalization right now before the change making naturalization harder takes effect. And so welcome. Thank you so much for being here. Really appreciate each of you. And remember, the Empowered Immigrant Live is here to train, teach, inspire, and empower immigrants to make the most out of immigration laws and to make the most out of their lives. All right? Today our theme is that naturalization is getting harder. It's harder to win citizenship. And, my question for you is, do you want to become a U.S. citizen, or do you want to get a green card, or do you want to apply for VAWA or for asylum or for a U visa or for some type of immigration benefit, or do you want to at least figure out what is the best strategy in your situation, right, to be able to stay in the United States, to be able to up-level your life through the immigration system? Because if so, go for it. And if so, I'd love to help you with it. All right? My firm is on a mission to win 10,000 immigration cases in the next 10 years by 2035. And we would love for your case to be one of them. Okay? So thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate each of you. And as I'm talking about citizenship, if you have questions, please feel free to submit your questions. I'll do my best to answer them right here, right now, live, and thank you for being here. All right. So as I mentioned, the civics test for naturalization is getting harder. Okay, there is a new proposed civics test. Remember, as part of the citizenship process, you need to show that you have a green card, that your green card was lawfully gotten, that you're at least 18 years old, that you are a person of quote-unquote good moral character, all right? That you meet all the physical presence requirements. For example, you haven't left the United States for long periods of time, longer than 6 months, caused any disruptions in your physical presence in the U.S. You've got to show that you can satisfy each of the tests. There's an English language test, English language requirement, and a civics test. And you've got to be willing to swear loyalty to the United States and take the oath of allegiance. Those are the requirements for citizenship. All right? And the requirement that is getting harder right now is the civics test. And so in the past, we've had 100 questions that we had to study. We were asked during the interview 10 questions, and you had to get 6 correct. All right? So they're making it slightly more difficult. All right? You could say twice as difficult because you have to get twice as many questions accurate. You've got to get 12 questions correct out of 20 instead of 6 correct out of 10. All right? And they're making you study 128 total questions instead of 100. All right, so there's a few extra questions to study. There's double the amount that you've got to get correct. And what I've been telling my clients is, you can do it. All right, I really believe that each and every one of you can do it, can learn these questions. But here's the thing. If you want to file right away, anybody that files their citizenship case before October 20th can file under the old regulations and can get your case on, and your case will be reviewed under the old or previous standard. The standard will increase for cases that are filed on October 20th and after. All right, does that make sense? And so if you're really anxious about your ability to memorize and learn the different aspects of U.S. government and civics, then get to it. You know, if you have a green card for over 5 years, if you have paid your taxes, if you're a person of good moral character, if you have a case for citizenship, which always talk that through with an attorney before deciding whether or not to do this. But if you have a case, if you have a green card for 5 years, if it was lawfully gotten, if you're a person of good moral character, if you don't have any long absences outside the U.S., if you're otherwise eligible, you could file this case now and take advantage of the current standards and regulations before they go into before the new changes go into effect on October 20th. Okay? But I want to go through some of these questions with you. All right? So let me pull them up from uscis.gov. Anybody can find these. You don't have to pay anybody to download the questions to study. All right? So question number 7, for example, is this. How many amendments does the U.S. Constitution have? All right? So imagine you're sitting there in an interview, and a government officer is looking at you, and your attorney's there next to you, and the government officer asks you this question. How many amendments does the U.S. Constitution have? And you've got to think, and you've been studying, so you know the answer. The answer is 27. All right? There are 27 amendments. Okay? So then the next question, what founding document said that the American colonies were free from Britain? What's the document? This is question number 9. All right? Answer, you got this? It is the Declaration of Independence. All right? Do me a favor. If you're on TikTok, if you're on Instagram, these are the 2 apps I can see most clearly right now. If I ask a question, if you know the answer, just text me the answer. I want to see who's paying attention. All right? Winston Juarez, I see you here. Daphne OR, I see you here. User 7385, I see you here. Princess Fiona, I see you here. All right? See if you can answer these questions, okay? All right. All right. So the economic system of the United States, what's it called? Who's got it? Who's got it? All right? The economic system of the United States, what is it called? Who knows the answer? Like, type it in the chat. Anybody? Anybody? All right, I don't see the answer, so I'm going to answer it. All right? It is called, oh, yes, C.G. Bakes has it. All right, capitalism. That is true. The other acceptable answer is the free market economy. All right, that is true. Awesome. Well done, C.G. Bakes. I love it. Thank you for being here. All right? All right, so pop quiz. All right, who's got this one? What are the 3 branches of government? Who knows them? All right, this is question 16 on the list. What are the 3 branches of government? I'll count to 10. Anybody who has it, put it in the chat. You know, we can address that. 1, 2, 3. 3 branches of government. All right, C.G. Bakes is on a roll. She says judicial, executive, and, all right, Bianca, love it, legislative, judicial, and executive. Hey, that's right. That's right. Well done. All right, Bianca, you take the prize. Well done. Love it. Okay. All right, I'm on question number 19 now. What are 2 parts of U.S. Congress? There's this house and there's this house. There's 2 sides to the U.S. Congress. What are those 2? All right. Oh, yeah, C.G. Bakes, you're on a roll. The Senate and the House of Representatives. That's it. All right. Very well done. All right. Very well done. All right. So those are that's a sense of it. Should I do one more? All right. I'll do one more. How many senators are there? Who knows? Who knows how many senators there are? All right. All right. C.G. Bakes, you got it, man. Yeah, it's 100. 100. It's 2 per state. Exactly right. Bianca, 2 per state. Very well done. Here's the thing. So these new questions, don't fear them, right? If you're going to be studying for citizenship if you file your case after the 20th of October of 2025, don't be afraid. You got this. All right? The questions are on uscis.gov. It requires some study, but you can do it. I believe in each and every one of you. If you're watching this video right now, I believe in you. You can learn this. You'll learn this more than the vast majority of U.S. citizens know them. All right? But I do believe in you, and I believe you can do it. Now, here's the truth also, right? I was meeting yesterday with a dear client of mine who I won his green card 10 years ago, all right? I won his green card 10 years ago. We had to expedite his case so that he won his green card, and literally that weekend he traveled to his country with his green card just approved so that he could visit his sister who was dying, all right? One last time before she passed away, he was able to see his sister and then re-enter with his approved green card, all right? That was like a very intense case that I won 10 years ago. And that all happened. And then yesterday I'm meeting with him and he wants to apply for citizenship, but he's nervous about these tests. Why is he nervous about the tests? Because he came into our office and he's in a wheelchair because he suffered a stroke. All right? He has difficulty remembering things now. It's like, oh man, you were my client. We won your case 10 years ago. 10 years ago, you were 100% healthy. But now 10 years have passed, right? He's an older gentleman and now he's suffered a stroke. And he's doing physical therapy and he's getting it. So what do we do, right? What do we do if he literally can't learn the questions? What do we do if he literally can't, like his brain isn't working the way it used to? All right? There is a process. There are steps we can take. All right? There are things we can do. It's called the N648. And this is a form. We have to get a medical evaluation. We have to have a doctor certify that because of his situation, he should be exempt from having to do this test in the process. It is not easy to win an N648. But when there are medical reasons why a person cannot learn the tests, there are still ways to become a U.S. citizen even in that situation. So I just wanted to share that. There are things that can be done. Okay? All right, so now you know. That's what's happening. I wanted you to all know that. The theme for today is that naturalization is getting harder. And we already talked about, and we have been talking about today, the increase of the standards of the civics test. I also want to say that, and I shared a video about this 3 weeks ago, that the good moral character side of citizenship is also getting more rigorous, all right, and more challenging, and it's requiring more evidence, okay? And so what about that? You know, look, we've got to include affirmative evidence of the fact that we have good moral character when we apply for citizenship. And in the past, we would often just point out the fact that, look, we haven't done anything bad. So of course we have good moral character. We don't have any arrests, etc. But now they want us to do more than that. We can't just say, no, we don't have anything bad. We've got to affirmatively show the good things that we have. And so the memo that came out that talks about increasing the standard, it suggests that we show and include evidence of the following 6 things. 1, sustained community involvement and contributions to your community. All right? 2, and these are, you don't have to show all of these, but these are the types of things that you can show. 2, family caregiving, ties to your family in the United States. 3, education, educational attainment. All right? 4, stable and lawful employment history. All right? Being a good employee, etc. All right? 5, the length of your lawful residence in the United States. And 6, compliance with your obligations to pay taxes. 6 pieces of evidence that can help demonstrate your quote-unquote good moral character to satisfy the citizenship requirement. Okay? All this is to say that, citizenship, it's a process, right? And there's an N-400 form, there's evidence that we need to file, there's an interview, there's tests during the interview. I recommend that you have a lawyer help you through the process, all right? I recommend that you have a lawyer that knows what they're doing, give you good advice as to, how to strengthen your case, how to build your case, how to handle your case, so that you have the best chances possible of winning your citizenship process so that you can move on with your life as a U.S. citizen, right? So that you can vote in elections, you can petition for spouses, parents, children, siblings, fiancés, so that you can never have to worry again, knock on wood, in theory, about immigration law, so that you can be more free, up-level the amount of freedom that you have. Okay? Anyway, that's all I got. Thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for watching this. If this was useful, if this was helpful, please subscribe to our channel and give us some love, give us some thumbs up, all that good stuff. And let me answer any questions that might be out there. I think that we've got a few questions. And so thank you all again so much for being here. All right, so one question came up earlier. You said, I'm curious how this affects an I-751 pending and a new naturalization application. Okay, so, the I-751 laws have not changed, all right? So what's the I-751 for those who are not familiar? If a person won their green card through marriage, and if it was a young marriage, if it was a new marriage with less than 2 years at the time of the issuance of that initial green card, then you'll be given a 2-year conditional green card, all right? And what they're saying is that after those 2 years go by, if you want the 10-year full-on permanent green card, you have to file this extra form, the I-751, and you basically have to show that your marriage, that you're still married, that your marriage was in good faith, or if you're not still married, that your marriage was still issued in good faith, but that you've got one of these waivers to the joint filing requirement. All right. Normally, you file the I-751 together with your spouse. And so this new process actually does not affect the I-751 process. And so if you're filing an I-751, you follow the same regulations, same rules. There are no new changes or updates to the I-751 process, although we are seeing that the government is viewing them more strictly, perhaps, than they did a year ago. But if you have a new naturalization application, if it's already on file, then you're using the test that was involved since 2008 is the previous test that we've had. Or if you file after the 20th of October, then you'll be under the new test. Okay, so bottom line is, how does this affect an I-751 that's pending? It really doesn't, all right? It really doesn't. If you file for citizenship, you can do that. I think it's a good strategy, actually. If you have an I-751 pending and you're NATS eligible, then file the NATS too. And when I've done that, often you'll be scheduled for an interview, and if they're both approved, they'll both be approved on the same day, and you can be a citizen. Okay? It's a strategy to speed up and to kill two birds with one stone, so to speak. You can actually get both of those cases approved at the same time. All right, user 7385. You say, I kind of think it makes it easier to have more questions and more opportunities. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Instead of you have to get 6 right and you can only get 4 wrong. All right. Now they can ask a total of 20 questions. So you have to get 12 right. That's true, but you can get up to 9 of them wrong. And so, or really 8. Yeah, if you get 9 wrong, they stop the test and you lost it. But if you get 8 wrong and 12 right, that equals 20, and then away you go. All right, so yeah, thank you for that perspective. Maria Lacerda, good to see you here. You say, hello, if you were my lawyer, you would let the immigration judge deport me and tell me to go back to my country and wait for my U visa in my country, question mark? I mean, no, I don't think I would do that. I don't think I would do that. I'm very hesitant to, I would look for, in my office, we are very good in deportation cases. That's my own opinion. Of course, one of the members of my team right now is a former immigration judge, right? We are very good in immigration court, right? We would look for people that are working with our office who are in immigration court know this, and I hope that they have that experience working with their team in my office, that we find every opportunity, creative strategy, whatever we can do to win that deportation case. Now, there are instances where getting to know our clients and knowing their situation and knowing the laws at play and knowing who their judge is, etc., there are some cases where it's like, okay, we're going to do everything and we think we're going to lose. All right? Because we know the situation, we know the laws, and we know the judge. It's like we are going to argue everything, preserve everything we can for appeal, but man, we think that the laws are simply against us in this instance or in this case, and so there might be some other strategy here. If your U visa is almost done, right, maybe that's a situation. Anyway, Maria Lacerda, to get you that real specific advice, we would do a consultation. We would request all of your records. We would really get into it. And whenever possible, we would avoid that. Okay? Hope that's useful. Hope that's helpful. CG Bakes. Great job to CG Bakes on your on the answers that you shared earlier. And so thank you so much for being here. And let me get into your question here. You say, my brother waited 20 years for an I-130, received his appointment, and we all, let's see, that's going on. She's afraid. He's afraid he'll be arrested. Oh, with all that's going on, I understand. He's afraid that he'll be arrested and detained and sent elsewhere. So he's decided to forfeit his residency and will stay in Mexico. Got that. Got that. Thank you for sharing that. I'm sorry that that's that situation. So wait, so he'll stay in Mexico. If he's been in Mexico, and if he's in Mexico, then why would he be afraid that he'd be arrested? Right? If he's in Mexico, nobody's going to arrest him in Mexico to go to his interview. So that's maybe. So thank you for sharing this. I would say, maybe schedule it. See if he's interested. If he's not interested in coming to the U.S., I mean that's a personal decision, right? There are beautiful places in Mexico. There are beautiful places in the United States. In the current climate, I mean it's like a kind of a nasty truth, right? Kind of a challenging time in the United States right now. No question about it, right? But there might be some other options. If he wants to wait for a different administration and then handle that interview, that's possible. If he wants just advice, schedule a consultation and do a 3-way, do a Zoom meeting where he can ask his questions, because he's not going to get arrested going to an interview at a U.S. embassy in Mexico. They won't care. They won't care to do that. They don't do that, right? And if he gets that approved and enters as a lawful permanent resident, he's good, right? He has nothing to worry about. I won't say nothing to worry about, but very little risk if he enters the U.S. now with a valid, approved, family-based immigrant petition through his U.S. citizen sister, which it sounds like that's the situation. And so anyway, feel free to schedule a consultation, and we can get into much more detail about the situation and also maybe give him some advice, right? If he's interested in coming to the U.S. And if he's not interested in coming to the U.S., well, that's a personal decision. right? There are benefits, but there are also, it's a complex question. It's a personal question. All right. I think that's it, ladies and gentlemen. I think that is it. All right. Thank you all so much. Oh, wait. No, I see another one. Sati Pena. How long does the NVC take to send a welcome letter for a K-1 visa? Is the letter sent via email? All right. Well, thank you. Thank you. How long does the NVC take? I don't think that the welcome letter comes from the NVC. All right, so you're not waiting for the NVC. What you're waiting for is the NVC schedules the interview with your consulate, depending on where in the world it is. And then once the consulate has it, then the consulate will put the visa in the passport, right? They'll have an interview, they'll put the visa in the passport, and now you're allowed to come into the U.S. And so it's actually not the NVC that you're waiting on. I mean, if you're still waiting on the NVC, they've got to pass it to your local embassy or consulate and then go through the process, right? Hopefully that cleared that up. And yeah, and CG Bakes, I'm seeing your other interview questions here. You say, I tried to get him to consult with you, but he's disappointed in this, or disappointed in the situation. He decided to forfeit residency, will stay in Mexico. Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that. I mean, on the same time, like, if that's what he knows that he wants for his future, I mean, more power to him, right? He can make that decision. But I understand that you're disappointed in his decision. But hey, it's his life, right? He's allowed to make his decision. I want to empower him to make that decision if that's the best decision for him for his future. But if you sense that that's not really what he wants, and that he's just doing it based in fear, like, that's different, right? Don't let fear hold you back in your life. Should I shout that out? Fear should not stop us from living the life that we want. I mean, go for it. If you're in a job right now that you don't like, but you don't want to leave because you're afraid that what are people going to think if I leave? Or am I going to find the job that I like better if I leave, or whatever? Don't let fear stop you. Hear that voice inside your head telling you to do something and encouraging you to do something, and do it. Go for it. All right? And so anyway, that's my advice to your brother. That's my advice to your brother, for whatever it's worth. But if he in his heart of hearts is no, it's not about fear. It's he actually wants to live the rest of his life in Mexico. Well, more power to him. That's cool. All right, there are U.S. citizens moving to Mexico all the time right now because it's Mexico's got good things happening, right? Different places are different. Different people are different, right? So that's my stance on this. Let's see. Juan Ortiz, marriage-based green card interviews is a must? ? Or does that depend on the strength of evidence? That's a good question. Thank you for being here. So typically, yes. Typically, marriage-based, you're going to have an interview. Just expect it. Okay? It's been a long, long time since I've seen a marriage-based immigration green card approved without an interview. So just expect that part of the process you will be interviewed. They will be skeptical about your marriage, and so bring evidence. And if it's for the I-751, that's where I have seen cases approved without interviews. But if it's for the initial green card, it's unlikely. Okay? I think I've answered everybody's questions today. Thank you all so much for being here. I really appreciate each and every one of you. My name is Otis Landerholm. I'm the founding attorney here at Landerholm Immigration, A.P.C, where we fight for your American dream. If this content was useful, please give us some love. All right, give us a thumbs up or a heart, or go to our channel in YouTube and subscribe. Hit the subscribe button on our channel in YouTube. It means a lot to our channel and to me and to our team. And so really, I'd really appreciate it if you take a moment and do that. And, if you have an immigration case, if you have an immigration situation, if you have an immigration challenge, and if you're looking for help, please feel free to reach out, all right? Don't go through this alone. Feel free to reach out. My office is really wonderful. My team is really amazing. I'm just like the guy on YouTube, right? I've got a team of 26 amazing, talented human beings, and I'm just honored to work with them every day, all right? And we fight for the rights of immigrants, and anyway, I love it. I love it. So if my team could help you in any way, we're here to do that. We'd love to do that, and we're just a phone call away. Feel free to give us a call. We're here to help. We'd love to help. All right? So thanks a lot, everybody. Thank you for being here. Make it a great day. Take care. Bye-bye.